Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the new Superdrug and Disney Mulan palette. I had no intention of buying this one. It was a complete spontaneous purchase. I was happily scrolling through my Instagram feed on Saturday on the 21st and this advert came up for this Mulan collection. The first thing that sprung to my mind was, oh my god, Superdrug is selling Colourpop. Why is no one talking about this? And then not even a second later I was like, oh no, it's got nothing to do with Colourpop. But I thought I'd take a look at the collection, and when I saw the colours inside of the palette, I can really see the colours from the movie in it. When I look at the Colourpop palette, I'm not really seeing it. I don't know if it's meant to be more linked to the live action movie that's coming up. I don't know anything about it. Their palette looks really nice. The quality looks amazing, but it also just kind of reminds me of the Tarte Beauty Textured Neutrals palette, whereas this, I mean, I really see the colours from the film, and I'm really excited to get my hands into it. The palette is actually made by a brand called Mad Beauty. They're a brand I've never heard of. I've never tried any of their products, so I have no idea what this palette's going to be like. The palette retails for £15, which I do think is quite a lot of money for a drugstore palette, especially when it's not a brand that I know. But it is a licensed collection, so I do always expect them to cost a little bit more anyway, because part of that money is going to go to Disney. And also, these pans are absolutely huge. I mean, even the size of the palette, I did not expect it to be this big when I ordered it. And these pans actually contain 2.5 grams of product, which is absolutely massive. It's huge. I made a spreadsheet of the details of all of my palettes. I like to go into details about the cost of all the palettes when I review them, so I thought I would put together a spreadsheet that just has the details on there so that we can quickly compare palettes to ones that I already own. I used to watch a lot of Stephanie Nicole and she did that, so I have taken the idea from her. So I'll pop a screenshot of the list on the screen now. As you can see, in terms of individual eyeshadow weight, these are some of the biggest that I own. The only ones that I have above them are my Beauty Bay and Mitchell palette, and then my Juvia's Place ones, which are huge. They contain 3.6. Then when we look at it in terms of the cost per gram for this particular palette, you're paying 50p per gram of eyeshadow. So I do have some palettes that work out even cheaper than that, but it's still one of the most affordable palettes that I have. So if the quality of these eyeshadows is there, I will be really impressed, because just in terms of how much product you are getting, this palette is actually really good value for money. Now, for those of you who may be interested in the Colourpop palette as well, I have also included it in the list to compare. The palette retails for $22. I have used today's exchange rate to calculate the price in pounds, and obviously that will fluctuate. Today, which is the 24th of March, we're looking at £18.70 for the palette, so it is more expensive. And then we have a total weight of 17 grams for 12 eyeshadows, so we also have less product in the palette. So in terms of the cost per gram, we're at £1.10. In terms of additional information on the palette, we do have an ingredients list at the top. We then have a warning that says it is for adult use only, which I feel is surprising for a Disney collection at Superdrug. I would normally think they're more aimed at children, so I'm surprised it says that. And we also have the shelf life after opening, which is 12 months, but there is no mention on there about cruelty-free or vegan status. I don't know anything about it. As for the rest of the collection, there are actually 8 other items available. Right now, as I'm filming, there is actually an offer for buy one item, get a second one half price. And I did have a look, but I didn't really see anything I wanted to go for. It's mostly made up of bath products. There is a sheet mask, which I think is kind of cute, and there's also a hairbrush and a comb set. There was also a brush set. The only thing is that it's made up of 4 brushes and a beauty blender, and out of those 4 brushes, 3 of them are face brushes, so I didn't really feel like I could test them out in this video. If they'd all been eye brushes, they'd go really well with the palette, but I'm kind of confused that they have that many face brushes when they don't actually have any face products. I don't really get it. It's a little bit incoherent to me, so I left it, but they could make a really lovely gift for someone who is a big Mulan fan. The color scheme is really interesting. We have 6 mattes, 5 metallics, shimmers, and then 1 glitter. Let's get into some swatches and see how they perform. Ooh, they feel really buttery, and they're picking up really well on my fingers. Right, so the first shade is Bloom. Then we have Courage. And then we have Warrior. I think these are gonna stain because I'm just trying to remove them with micellar water, and I feel like they've left a little bit of colour on my fingers, so my eyelids are just gonna hate me. Next up we have some shimmers, and they feel really, really soft. The first one is Be True to You. Then we have Guardian. Oh wow. Oh, maybe I can use that as a highlighter. Look at that. Then we have our pressed glitter, which is Strong Heart. Then we have Spirit, Little But Lucky, which still had some of Guardian in it. So if you see a shimmer, that is definitely meant to be a matte shade. Then we have Beautiful. That one is quite crumbly. It's left like a little bit of dust. And then we have our final three, which are Wild and Free. Be Brave. That's not swatched very well, and it didn't feel like it was picking up the colour as easily as the others. And then we have a Silver, which is Dragon. I don't feel like that one maybe has picked up as well as the others, but I love the look of Wild and Free. Guardian. Guardian looks incredible. I cannot wait to get my hand in that. The most disappointing swatch by far is Be Brave, but I really don't know how much I'm going to use it. It's a really interesting colour story. I think it's really nice. I will say I feel quite surprised there's not an actual red as well. These do feel quite similar at the top, like they're all kind of in the same family, so maybe a true red would have been quite nice. I'm very curious to see how this performs on the eyes, so I'm going to go and prime my lids with my PLouise base, and I'll be right back and we're going to give this a go. I know I just said I probably wouldn't really be using this shade, but I think I'm actually going to start with the shade Be Brave on a Zoeva 231. I am digging in quite a bit because I didn't feel like that colour necessarily picked up as much, and it's not particularly powdery in there, like it's not crumbling away, so I feel like it probably needs it. So I'm going to start by popping this in my crease. It's not the worst eyeshadow I've ever used, but it's definitely taking that little bit of work. Like it does need a lot to build it up. I do feel like you need to go in with it first to get the best payoff, because I think if you were trying to layer it on top of other shades, I think you'd struggle. I'm just going to go in with a small flat brush to bring the colour just on the outside of my lower lash line. I've been seeing Make Me Up Missa do this, and I feel like it probably helps with the final shape of the eyeshadow. I've already done my under eyes. I don't actually set my concealer, but obviously the concealer's been there for a while now. I feel like it's not sticking as well. I don't think you could go with this shade onto a dry base. But I like the shade though. I like the shade itself. It's a really cool toned grey. There's something a little bit purpley to it. It did just take a lot of building up. Can't say I'm surprised I expected it. I think this is probably going to be the least pigmented matte out of the palette. Ugh. I think this is probably going to be the least pigmented of the mattes, at least I'm hoping. So for the next shade, I'm going to go into Bloom, and straight away that's picked up so much more colour. So I'm going to be a lot more careful with that because I don't want fallout, because you guys know how I feel about fallout. I'm just going to start packing it on top. Oh, okay. This isn't coming out as pigmented as I expected it to from how much it picked up, so I think it's going to need some building up. Okay, there we go. That's a lot better. It is taking a lot of back and forth, like going back into the palette and dipping back in to get it to a nice pigmentation. Now it's on the eye, it is a nice colour. I don't know if it's blending out all that well though. I do like the colour combo though. I do like the way it looks. I'm going to go back into Be Brave and just darken that up a little bit right in the outer corner. I ain't even tripping, cause I just chose to believe that somebody gon' come around and give me just what I need. It feels very dark, like very gothic right now, but I do love it. I love the way the colours look. I did feel like I had to dip in a lot. This definitely isn't one of the most pigmented palettes I've ever used, but the final effect is really quite nice. So let's use another colour. This time I'm gonna jump into Warrior. Now I think Warrior might have been a bit chunky. This one feels a little bit more powdery. It feels like it's picking up on the brush a lot more easily. So again, I'm just gonna be blending out with this one. This feels like the most pigmented of the three colours so far. I feel like it's definitely depositing a lot more than the other two were. Let me try it on a Sigma E36 as well, just around this side. It picks up well on this brush as well. If you guys have watched some of my previous videos, I find that not all eyeshadows work well with the Sigma E36, and this one seems fine. Just gonna go back in with a little bit of bloom just to darken it. Out of those three shades, that was probably my favourite to work with. I didn't have to dip back in as much. I don't know if that's because I was using a bit less of it anyway, because I wasn't packing it on, I was using it to blend out, but I think the effect is really, really nice. I really, really love the look of these colours. Also, can we take a moment? No fallout. Maybe just like a couple of tiny specks here, but nothing in comparison to some of the fallout I've had with other palettes. If you are someone who likes to live on the edge and likes to do their skin first, that's definitely a plus. I'm gonna go and cut my crease off camera, and I'll be right back and we'll decide what to use on the eye. All right, so I have done my cut crease with my PLouise base. I know I'm boring. I always do a half cut crease. I don't know, I just like doing them when I'm trying out new palettes. I think it's pretty obvious which shade I want to use. I really want to go into Guardian. Trying to think what the best way is of doing it. Do I use Guardian over the whole eye? I don't know. Oh, it does pick up really well. I'm just using it on just a basic flat shadow brush. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's pretty. I feel like I thought it would pop a bit more, but then because I'm so pale anyway, I always use a really light shade of the PLouise base. I use 0.5. So obviously against 0.5, it isn't really popping that much, but it is pretty. I'm really not having to dig in my brush to pick it up. It's picking up really, really well. It's really, really soft. And again, maybe just a couple of specks of fallout, nothing dramatic. That is such a lovely shimmer. That is really, really nice. I was gonna use another shimmer, but I just ended up doing the whole eye with it because I liked it so much. I think I'm just gonna jump back into a little bit of bloom with my Zoeva brush, just to create a bit more of a transition into, what's it called, Be Brave. Look at that transition. Oh, that is stunning. Right, we are gonna do the lower lash line now. I think I'm gonna jump into Be Brave again. I'm just taking that on a flat e.l.f. brush. I'm gonna get really close to my lash line, darken it a bit. I definitely feel like I preferred using that shade on top of a wet base. I'm gonna take my Morphe M138 and I'm gonna go into Beautiful. This one is powdery. I don't know if you can see, but I tapped off the excess and this one is going everywhere. So I think I'm gonna tap it off more. I can see things going bad. It's powdery. Does it have the pigmentation to go with that powderiness? Kinda. Oh, wow, okay, it does. Wow, okay, so if you don't tap it off, it is really pigmented. Wow. Again, I haven't really got any fallout. What is this sorcery? It looks a bit messy because I pressed really hard expecting it to have no pigmentation. So it's not really blended in or anything at the moment. I need my Sigma brush. I'm gonna go with that Sigma brush that I used with Warrior just to tie everything in together because it is a bit messy right now. I'm not really happy with that lower lash line. That beautiful shade is pigmented, but it also felt a little bit dull. I really want to try it over a wet base and see if things would go better. I think I've done things wrong. I think I shouldn't have tried to blend it out with Warrior. Probably a downside to this palette, really. You have these three pinks which are quite similar, and you can obviously blend them out together like we've done here, and it's even blended out Be Brave. You don't really have anything to go with Beautiful, anything to blend that out, because then your other matte is a brown. I'm trying to think of what other colours are in the film. She does have a blue and turquoise dress at one point, doesn't she? I'm pretty sure she does. So maybe they could have had that really nice blue in there as well. I feel like that would be quite nice. So far that's my main criticism. I don't feel like anything has gone wrong with this look. Let's try Wild and Free. I'm going to try applying it with no base. Okay, right, that's a lot nicer. I much prefer that. Oh, it's in my eye. Ugh. It's a pretty shade. It does just feel a bit dull. I think that's more down to technique than anything else. I wish I hadn't gone in with Be Brave first. I just wanted to darken the lower lash line. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt, basically. If I could go back and change it, I think maybe I would just use Be Beautiful and then Wild and Free. I'm gonna see if I can get this a bit more intense. This is just an MUA setting spray. Okay, that is a lot more intense. I definitely prefer that. You guys have heard me say this so many times, but when I'm not doing one of these videos, when I'm just doing a look, I always do the eyes first and then I do the skin afterwards. So when I do that, I've always got the PLouise base on the top and I put it on the under eye as well. So I've got that really nice wet base that everything sticks to. And when I do my eyes like this, when I do a video like this where I've got my concealer on underneath that has dried down a little bit by now, I never get things as nice. I just don't like working that way. I never think the lower lash line is as intense. I think these shadows are definitely going to work better on a wet base. I mean, I always think shadows do anyway. I never like it as much on a dry base. They're never as intense, but I think this palette is just going to work a lot better for you if you use them on a dry base. No, I think this palette is going to work a lot better for you if you use it on a wet base. I just want to try another colour, so I think I'm going to take a little bit of Dragon as well. I do feel like these are powdery in the sense that they keep getting in my eye, like I can feel that drying sensation. Maybe this is why they have that warning that the palette is only for adults. Clearly I'm not even enough of an adult to use it. I keep messing up. That's really nice. I don't really know if you can see it on camera. I didn't like the way this swatched, and this is actually quite nice. Right, I think that is finally it for the eyeshadow. I really like that lid shade. I was planning on adding a liner to the cut crease. I ordered one especially, but I kind of don't want to. Maybe I could add a little bit of glitter. Should we add some glitter? Let's add some glitter. You can never go wrong with glitter. This is my new obsession. These are the Pixi Liquid Fairy Lights. These are so pretty. I'm just gonna take a small flat brush and I just pop that. There we go, just into the top of the cut crease. I don't know how much you can see it on camera from here, but I love these. I absolutely love these. I want every shade. Okay, right, I'm gonna leave that there. I need to pick out a color for the lower lash line, but I can't decide what. And I think I might just add a little bit of liner as well and some lashes, but I'm gonna do all of that off camera. And then once I'm all done, we're gonna come back and I'll give you my final thoughts on the palette. All right, guys, here is the finished look. I decided I wanted to add a little bit of liner, then things kind of got out of control. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I go through phases of liner where I just can't do it anymore, and I feel like I'm in one of those phases right now and it's really annoying me, but overall I absolutely love the result. Also, I did end up using the shade Guardian as my highlighter, and wow, look at that, it's so good. I did use my setting spray with it because it was quite chunky, it was quite glittery. It isn't a highlighter formula, so it wasn't really working, but once I'd wet the brush, it's absolutely blinding. I wouldn't wear it out of the house right now, like I wouldn't wear this to work. You can see all the texture because it is a bit glittery, but for YouTube, for Instagram, I really love the result. I'm really loving this eye look. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So now for my final thoughts on the palette. I mean, yeah, like I said, I really love how this eye look turned out. Going into this video, I really didn't know what to expect because this is a brand that I had never heard of, but with the higher price tag, I wanted it to perform well, and I mean, the final result is absolutely gorgeous. I really think that you are going to have a much better time with this palette using a wet base. I think that if you set your base, you are really going to struggle. I don't think it's quite going to grip as well. So just use a wet base. I think you're going to have a much better time with it. The color story again, oh, I mean, look at it. It's just stunning, isn't it? I really like the color story. I just think that's a lot of pinks at the top. I think it would be a bit more balanced out if we had another more bluey matte shade to go with this one. This is pretty. I like how it's more of a cool toned purpley grey. They did work really well together. It's just more, yeah, could we have another bluey shade? I think it's always harder when you have a smaller palette anyway. Like a lot of palettes nowadays, you have things like Morphe that have so many shades. I use the Mitchell palette that's got 32, so you're more used to having more options in those bigger palettes. I think smaller palettes really have to be cohesive, and maybe it's not quite there, but I still absolutely love the look that I created with it. I'm gonna use this one again. I just think it would need like a couple of little tweaks. Do I think it's worth £15? I think it is, but only because of how much product it contains. I think if it had, you know, 1 gram per eyeshadow and it was £15, I wouldn't be okay with it. I feel like that would be too expensive. I'm not mad at it because you are getting so much product. I think if you want it for the nostalgia factor, if you are someone who loves the original film, I mean, it's one of my favorite Disney films. I don't think it gets enough attention. The color scheme, you know, I see the movie in there. I don't really get the same nostalgia factor with the ColourPop one. So I think, you know, if you're a big Disney fan, if you're a big fan of that film, you want it for the nostalgia factor. You are getting so much product. I think you're gonna get some really nice looks out of it. Is it the best eyeshadow ever? No, but it's not a bad palette, and if you really want it, it's really cute. I'm really pleasantly surprised with this one because I had no expectations. I just didn't know, and I absolutely love how this look turned out. If you enjoyed the video, then do, as always, please give it a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of it, and of course hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my next video. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers at this point, which is insane because this time last year I don't think I even had 300 subscribers, and now we're like so close to 1,000. So if you haven't already subscribed but you keep coming back to watch my videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye guys!
Yeah. Unknown Brain. Marvin Divine. I'm saying